Thanks to the MQB platform, the seat Inline-3 received not only a more comfortable interior, but also much more advanced engines, practically free of the shortcomings known from its predecessor. As for power units, there are so many versions that you can get lost. 0, 1.2 and 1.4 TSI EA211 series, new design incorporating a timing belt instead of the problematic timing chain known from the EA111. Modern 1.5 TSI EA211 Evo series. Improved 1.8 and 2.0 TSI of the EA888 Gen 3 and Gen 3B families, in which the problem with oil waste has been practically solved. 1.6 and 2.0 TDI turbo diesels of the EA288 family. EA211. The 1.4 TSI engine is best suited for everyday use. Options up to 140 horsepower inclusively do not have a dual-mass flywheel, does not apply to the DSG version, provide good dynamics and turn out to be quite economical, on average 6.5 to 8 L/100 km. If you only drive in the city or be the king of the left lane, then you can forget about this result. There are no special complaints about durability. However, there may be problems with the exhaust gas damper drive, and increased oil consumption has been encountered on cars of the initial production period. There is a known case when the 1.4 TSI engine on the related Golf 7 began to consume oil after 200,000 kilometers and died before reaching 300,000 kilometers. Sometimes the accessory belt or water pump squeaks. The EA211 is a modern unit with an advanced design that includes an exhaust manifold integrated into the cylinder head. Instead of a chain, a timing belt is used to drive the timing belt. The manufacturer recommends changing it after 240,000 kilometers. It is safer to do this before reaching 200,000 kilometers. An ACT, active cylinder technology, cylinder deactivation system was installed as an option, turning off the second and third cylinders when there is no need for power. EA211 Evo. I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what breaks and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro. The 1.5 TSI engines, EA211 Evo, appeared in Lyon in 2018 as a replacement for the 1.4 TSI. The new units received a particulate filter. The 130 horsepower version operates on the Miller cycle and has a variable geometry turbocharger. The 150 horsepower version uses an Otto cycle and a fixed geometry turbine. ACT cylinder deactivation is standard on 130 and 150 PS. Owners of versions with a manual transmission complained of jerking at startup. VAG tried to correct the situation with the help of new software. The manufacturer recommended a fairly thin oil of the 0W20 class for this engine. EA888. The 1.8 TSI engine is already EA888 Gen 3, almost completely freed from the problem of high oil consumption. In addition to gluttony, you have to reckon with a cracked thermostat housing and coolant leaks from the water pump. As with most 2.0 TSIs, EA888 Gen 3 and 3B, except for the 190 horsepower version available only in the Lyon Cupra, it uses a dual injection system, distributed MPI and direct FSI. That's a total of 8 injectors. The result is less carbon deposits on the valves and in the intake manifold. In the Lyon Cupra during the initial production period, you have to monitor the oil level. This is especially true for intensively used copies. EA288. Diesels are represented by the EA288 family. In Lyon-3 these are 1.6 and 2.0 TD engines. Problems with the injection system are less common here than in the EA189, and particulate filters cope much better with city use. Vulnerable elements, pump, for example, the damper jams, and there is a risk of engine overheating, and vacuum/oil pump noise appears. The Seat Leon-3 offers 5 and 6-speed manual transmissions, as well as 6 and 7-speed DSG dual-clutch automated transmissions. DSG, with the so-called wet clutch, were labeled DQ250, 6-speed, and DQ380/1, 7-speed. DSG7 with a dry clutch came with the index DQ200. Manual transmissions suffer from premature bearing wear, especially 5-speed. A malfunction can lead to damage to the differential and cracking of the gearbox housing. DSG at 150 to 200,000 kilometers may require replacing the clutch and/or dual-mass flywheel. There are also known cases of mechatronics failure. In addition, there are often hesitations or jerks when starting. Leon-3 also comes with all-wheel drive. However, all-wheel drive with Haldex 5 clutch was only available for the station wagon, ST, both in the regular version and in the X-Perience, as well as for the Cupra version in combination with engines, 1.8 TSI/180 horsepower, 2.0 TSI/300 and 370 horsepower, 1.6 TDI/110 HP, 2.0 TDI/150 and 184 horsepower. The design of the rear suspension was a bit of a step back. Versions up to 150 horsepower inclusively received a simple torsion beam instead of a multi-link design. But this design is usually more durable and cheaper to repair. Cars with 180 horsepower engines and higher, as well as with all-wheel drive, regardless of engine power, have a multi-link suspension at the rear. Modern equipment can cause trouble. For example, the assistance systems are glitchy, and the electronics are not entirely stable. So, messages appear about a malfunction of the start-stop system, cruise control does not work, etc. In pre-restyling versions, dead pixels appear on the multimedia system screen. CarPlay and Android Auto don't always work perfectly, and the headlights fog up. LED headlights are very expensive, which seriously increases the cost of recovery after an accident. Problems arise with locking/unlocking the trunk due to the handle, which stops locking when opened, gets stuck, or stops working altogether. Seat Leon-3 is a visually attractive car that allows you to enjoy VAG technologies. Acceptable durability and a lot of good spare parts from various third-party manufacturers are in favor of buying.